Welcome back to the Eric Krown crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice first day. It's the first day, it's January 1st of 2023, and nothing has actually changed. In fact, everything is more or less the same, and it's the exact same price that we saw from yesterday, but we do have some major monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, and annual closes to be looking at on today's video. So I want to be coming at this particular analysis from the vein of, well, is it low or not? Is it low or not? Or is it going lower? Anyways, other than that, I would like to wish you a sincere, nice start to this year of 2023. It's a new time to create new actions, to create a new you. But just because it's a new year ain't going to make a fucking difference. So at the end of the day, of course, goals, actions, that is where everything starts from. Other than that, I want to let you know that there is a sale going on for the first week, or I guess maybe I should have made this one a little bit longer. Apparently, I only went it for 5 days. But you know what? We might make that just a smidge longer in this case. For all the programs. As always, if you're interested in any one of the programs or indicators, please watch the promotional videos that are over here on the Krown Trading application, as they're going to explain who they're for, who they're not for, what essentially to expect, so that you don't jump into something that you don't actually want or need, and hopefully can get into something that you actually do. So with that said, let's start it off with the macro analysis on my favorite indicator for the beginning of each and every new month, and that is the accumulation and distribution indicator over here. And what do we know? Well, first things first, I should probably explain the meaning of this. So basically, anytime that we have seen a macro shift in the direction of Bitcoin over the full entire history of Bitcoin, it has been marked by this indicator changing the slope in the extreme zones. So for example, we would observe a slope change in this case in the extremes when the slope over here goes from negative to positive, and I believe I have it marked off. Indeed I have. And if we go and back check on the actual charts themselves, you can see that these correlate pretty damn close to the actual lows. In fact, in all cases, the official low was already in, but this gets it close enough on a closing basis to where it's like, hey, when we do start to see this happen, there's a strong possibility, or at least historically speaking, extremely strong possibility that the macro low is in. But of course, we can have major lows without this condition. So I do want to get that out at the outset, because a major low and a macro low are not the same thing. Macro low means we never see it go below that level ever again. Major low just means that, you know, probably looking at a big bad rally soon after that. So going back to this chart over here for the full history of Bitcoin, I have a few other things marked off. One of which would be, of course, this horizontal level right here. But you know what? Now that I recognize it, we should probably get back to that in a second. So I left off at a key point there. So anytime that we have seen a slope change in the extreme zones, that again has correlated with a macro shift in direction. What do I consider extreme? Well, for the downside, it needs to be below this this green horizontal line that my cursor is currently on right here. Again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 prior times. This is going to be the 5th time over here. And we are obviously well and obviously below that green horizontal line. So if and when the accumulation distribution indicator does get a positive slope, that's at the point where I'll start to say, hey, we extremely likely have a major low in, maybe even a macro low. It's possible, although, you know, there are some reasons to have some reservations here, or some healthy reservations, I would say. Anyways, in this case, the reason why I'm bringing it up and harping on it so much is that while we have seen the slope change on this new month of January, it has not produced a positive slope. So it has reduced the severity of it to the downside, obviously, but we do not have a positive slope. Here's the thing. If you were listening earlier, you also recognized that the actual low on a wick low basis, even on a closing basis, was always in prior to that slope change. But that was the essential, that was like the essentially like the last sort of confirmation saying, hey, low is likely in. You're probably looking at, you know, next big move to the upside within the next 1 to 3 months, let's say. So for right now, we still do not have this. So I would still not say, or at least I don't think it's reasonable for me to say that the actual low is in. Bitcoin can very easily get a wick lower, definitely possible. Could even close lower, obviously. Until that condition happens, it's still an open end here. But here's the thing, and I can start to actually come at a specific price for the monthly that, if met, I would say extreme probability of a humongous rally. When I say humongous rally, I mean 50% plus most likely, and potentially even a macro low, preluding this. So let's go over to this chart here. This is the monthly stochastic oscillator. And we can see on the monthly stochastic oscillator, it's been slowly but surely marching itself down. It has essentially remained cross to the downside since March of 2021, and obviously got a lot worse when it failed the bullish control zone in January, like literally 1 year ago. So it has actually been incredibly accurate in this case. If you come at it from that definition. And thus far, it has remained open to the downside this whole way through. Now, it will actually cross the upside if the reverse condition is met. If this next month closes above 17,950, which is what, about $1,500 from where Bitcoin is at right now. $1,500 in a month is, obviously certainly not unheard of in Bitcoin's history. But again, that gives us a nice pivot to be looking forwards to, that if Bitcoin closes above, very likely we see a big rally, potentially even a macro low, if then the accumulation distribution indicator over here follows through with continuing to get a positive slope and not just reducing the severity of the current downward slope. So those are the two next big things that I'm looking for as of right now. If Bitcoin were to even close a weekly above $18,000, basically, I would say that that's probably front runnable, and you're very likely looking at a rally to the mid 20s, $25,000 or so. But I do want to make this video a little bit more on the easily digestible side, because I recognize that everyone's, hungover and doing fuck all because it's the first day of January. But maybe we can go over just one last thing over here. Okay, so also on a little bit of the hopium side, I wanted to denote a couple other things. First, it would be this. We do see that the monthly RSI and the bi-monthly RSI, for that matter, are both going to be in a position to be putting in some drives of hidden bullish divergence. How do we calculate that? Well, we have lower lows on the monthly RSI compared to higher lows, presumably on the monthly. Here's the thing: Bitcoin has higher lows on the monthly as long as it's basically above like 7,000. So it's not too fucking helpful, right? That creates a massive range. But ultimately, this one would start to confirm itself as a local low if Bitcoin can close this next month of January above $18,000 basically. And at that point, I'd be looking at a rally somewhere around the 21, which is currently, that yellow moving average, which is the 21 exponential average, which is actually moving down rather rapidly right now. But it's currently hovering at about $27,500. So I'd be looking, basically mid 20s, maybe even upper 20s, something like that would kind of make sense. Also, a particular interest would be the monthly Joule, which is at the lowest level that it's ever seen ever. Now, that's not like a bullish thing in and of itself, obviously. But, being within the conscious of this region, it does provide the likelihood that we're looking at a bounce on the monthly relatively soon. The second that this one starts to turn white is the second where I'll start to say, hey, very likely, again, major low in. Maybe not a macro low, but a major low. Very likely the next big move is to the upside, and we come back to things after that. I still stick with what I've been stating over, I guess it's got to be like months now, in this, that I'm not willing to call a macro low just yet. And we can very easily see a major rally from here and come back down around the current lows, or maybe even a little bit lower as well. As far as this goes, if I were to just try to kind of draw a bit of a LARP line right here, maybe something like this. Maybe we see a short-term move to the downside. I still think that there's actually a decent threat of retesting around the current lows, and then very likely a bounce from there. And then the question is, where does Bitcoin get rejected at the next one? And then we get to play the game of, is this continuation or is Bitcoin going to set in a higher low? So some like this would obviously be bullish. Some like this would obviously be not bearish, but absolutely fucking devastating, because you're probably going to be looking at 4-digit Bitcoin after that. All right, sweet. Anyways, or maybe not so sweet, who knows? Who knows what disposition you're coming at this from. But I suspect that there's going to be a lot of opportunity in 2023. Other than that, I think it's a good place for me to be leaving off right here. With that said, take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.